Do you have a Ford Bronco with the Hooke Road roof rack and it's squeaking like the dickens and driving you crazy? Stick around and watch this video. I'm going to show you guys how I fixed that problem. Okay, for starters, I'm going to tell you guys what I had going on so that maybe you can fix this problem for yourself and show you what was, the fix essentially. Now, there's many different ways to fix this, so don't come at me with your negativity saying, oh, you didn't do that right. I'm just going to show you guys how I fixed that problem and why that was happening. Okay, for starters, you guys can see my setup. I have the Hooke Road roof rack on the Ford Bronco with the Top B rooftop tent. Now, you can see these clamps in the corners of the vehicle. Now, if you have a four-door, you're going to have an extra set of these clamps. I don't know that they're doing the same thing or having the same problem, and I did buy this Hooke Road roof rack off of eBay at a discounted price. That's not to say that it was defective, but maybe it could have been, and maybe they could have fixed this problem on the later models. I'm not sure. But essentially what was happening was when I would hit bumps, this thing would go, don't ask me to make that sound again because, well, I'll probably do it. But nonetheless, that's the noise I was hearing, and it was driving me nuts. So I had to basically get out of the Bronco, try to zoom out a little bit, and push, see where that squeak was coming from. Now, I did isolate it to these clamps, these support braces. And what was happening is, let me see if I can turn the light on so you guys can see a little better. Oh, it won't let me do it while using ultra wide lens. See. All right, there we go. So if you guys can see, this is the factory foam that runs up through here, and it's like maybe an eighth or 1/16 of an inch, and then you can see the foam that I put under it. And that was, that fixed the problem. But essentially what was happening was that while this thing was, flexing or bouncing or whatever, you had too much of the load sitting on this horizontal part of the hardtop and not enough on this part. So essentially what it was doing was allowing it to squeak because it was moving a little. Now, if all of the load of what you had on the cargo rack would have been sitting on the hardtop right here, that wouldn't have happened. But because some of it was sitting here, because the foam was too, we'll say, not dense enough, it was allowing it to squeak. So what I did was I went on Amazon and I bought these square foam tiles. Now, these are like 4 by 4 inches by a 1/2 inch. I would strongly recommend that you buy the 1/4 inch ones instead of the 1/2 inch. My thought process was that this would, collapse over time, that it would compress, which is probably true. But the bad thing was I couldn't get this to compress enough to allow these clamps to go in. Essentially, it was like sticking out too far. You'll see what I mean once you start doing it, but these clamps kind of were turned out, and because this foam was so thick, it wouldn't allow it to close fully. So what I did was take a bread knife and kind of fillet these things after I stuck them on, and it worked great. You guys can see that it's, good and tight. It's held up against the top part of the hardtop now instead of on this vertical part, and no more squeaking. So that being said, definitely get the 1/4 inch by 4. Now, I did put like a block under this. I lifted up and put a block under it, and then I took these bolts loose to enable me to stick that tile on that clamp. Now, when you stick them on, make sure that you stick them on under this, brace. Don't stick them to the Bronco itself because you don't want any of that nasty glue residue remaining on there if you decide to take the setup off. So hopefully this video helps some of you guys if you have the same problem with the Hooke Road roof rack. I really like this rack. It's very solid. It feels very, very sturdy, good quality. I've got lights mounted on it. It's awesome. It doesn't make, any wind noise, essentially, other than what you would typically hear in the Bronco, which is quite a bit. But yeah, I really like it, but it was squeaking and that was driving me nuts. Now, they might have updated that and put in thicker foam or made some adjustments on the newer models. And the one I bought might have been old stock because it was cheaper. But nonetheless, just order those foam pads. I think they were like $9.99 for 8, and that should fix your problem. But if you guys have any questions, please comment below. Subscribe to this channel so that I can keep making videos, and I hope this helps somebody.